I need everyone watching this video to know one thing. I haven't played D&D seriously in a while. The last time I played was years back when I was invited by an old friend of mine. They wanted to take a shot at being the DM or Dungeon Master, and it sadly ended the same day it started. But that's a story for another day. I got busy after that whole experience and I never really got an opportunity to pick up the game again. So when I saw this trend of rolling D&D dice to create a character, I was intrigued. If you're not in the know and just need a simple definition of D&D, it's basically a tabletop RPG where you get a bunch of people to make their own character and throw those little guys into a world where they get to roleplay fun adventures. For example, some popular ones here on YouTube are Critical Role and Dimension 20. You don't need to know a bunch about D&D to take part in this challenge. The stars know I don't. But from my experience, it seems like a pretty easy way to make a character if you're struggling to make one for an up-and-coming new campaign. For this drawing challenge in particular, you have a dedicated table for each trait you would like your character to have. The main tables I have labeled are gender, class, background, and race, though race is technically separated into two tables, as if you get human hybrid, you can roll to pick which hybrid they are. If you've watched several videos like this one, you would have noticed that this table was taken from Star the Fish Face's character creation video. I will be linking that in the description if you'd like to check it out, and I highly suggest you do after this video. I still have my old D&D character sheet I've been meaning to rework, but for the purposes of this video, I will be creating 2 original characters from scratch, which puts me in front of my first roadblock. I have no D&D dice to use. Thankfully, this was easy enough to resolve. I simply texted my bestie, who I will be referring to as Crow for the rest of this video, to borrow hers. Unlike me, Crow has been playing D&D for a while, and she had some time to spare before a meeting, so she was willing to come by. However, there was a catch. Crow said she would only come over to hang out under the promise that I wouldn't break any of her dice or attempt to eat them like candy while her back was turned. I, of course, am super understanding of this because I don't want to accidentally break any of my friends' candy. I mean pretty looking dice. I'd never eat my friends' pretty looking dice. Never, no. Even if it looked like candy, I'd never do that. No sorry, Bob. No eating dice here. Nope. I, trying to reassure her that I would not do such a thing, looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Of course I won't eat your dice behind your back. You know, like a liar." And thus she came over to my house and fell right for my trap. I tricked her. Crow, none the wiser to my shenanigans, brought along 2 sets of dice that she got from Etsy. One was her personal set that she used, which was this clear resin dice with green wisps and sparkles inside, and used gold paint for the numbers. The other set she brought along was this super cool smoky looking one with copper flakes and silver numbering on the sides. She helped me get these really pretty shots of the dice, but the setup was kinda scuffed since we had to hold up an old sketchbook to make the makeshift backdrop. 10 out of 10 dice. Both of them looked really pretty and fun to roll around, but I think Crow could tell that I liked the one with the copper flakes. I managed to roll out 2 characters I felt confident in designing, and Crow decided to roll out 2 characters of her own. Afterwards, we just decided to hang out in my room for the remainder of the time. Crow was on the verge of crashing out while attempting to give me a Cliff Notes version of color theory and then left for a club meeting. After all of that was done, I took some time to draw out 2 little concept dolls to help me get my initial impression of each character. This stage helps me create some sort of starting point when creating a character, and is no means the final design I will be using. As I stated before, it's been a while since I've looked over the D&D manual for the many types of characters you can make, so I decided to ask Crow later to guide me. Crow, being the massive nerd that she is, was ecstatic and was happy to help brainstorm with me. especially after she saw the rolls I got during our little hangout. With my silly little concepts in hand, I can start on the official designs of the characters. Speaking of which, the first character I rolled out was a half-orc sorceress with an acolyte background. Half-orcs, as stated by D&D Beyond, are a blend of orcish and human characteristics, and their appearance varies widely. Grayish skin tones and prominent teeth are the most common shared elements among these folks. While I was looking at half-orcs, I also noticed that they could be green, which I decided to go with for my character design. With this in mind, it was fairly easy to put together a design that I could expand on later. I wanted her to look fairly intimidating at first glance, but become more approachable the more time you get to know her. I also gave her some gold and red accessories to help pop against the brown, green, and silver. She also stands at around 178 centimeters or 5 feet 10 inches in freedom units. I did struggle a bit with balancing the acolyte and sorcerer aspects of this character while designing her. After getting the base idea down for this character, I decided to show it to Crow. She seemed pleased with the concept I had, and then we started brainstorming their backstory. Crow thought that my half-orc looked like someone who was very devoted to the worship of her god, and with that in mind, I decided to look up some names. And after some looking around, I decided to name my half-orc sorceress Anjali, which means divine offering in Sanskrit. I was also tempted to have her orc dad name her linguine because that's one of his favorite types of pasta, but he messed up the spelling on her birth certificate, which ended up with her being named, and I kid you not, Linguine. Around this time, I also chose the god that Anjali would be worshipping. He is a deity from the Forgotten Realms named Tyr. He is the god of justice, and his symbol is a balanced scale resting on a warhammer, according to D&D Beyond. I decided to talk to Crow again, and as we talked, we realized Anjali gave the impression of being a middle child, which caused us to talk about her family life. Anjali has 2 parents, a human and an orc. Her mother is named Anika, and her father is named Gorg the Skull Crusher, but Anika likes to call him Gorgy. They eloped after falling in love on the battlefield and had 3 kids. Their eldest daughter is named Maev, their middle child is named Anjali, and their youngest child is Ovak. Anjali is a very honest person when speaking to others. Not in a brutally mean way, more of a simply honest way. She also tends to take words at face value, and this unfortunately includes very obvious lies. For example, someone would lie to her by pointing at inedible rocks by saying, "Oh, those rocks are edible." She would then respond by picking up one of those rocks, chewing it with the full force of her jaw, swallow it, and go, "Oh, thank you, kind stranger, that's good to know. I've been hungry for some time," smiley face. She is aware of her shortcomings and is a great improviser to make up for her lack of awareness. She is also probably dumb enough to fall for a Fae deal despite her being a good judge of character, but smart enough to point out that the Fae is trapped with her and not the other way around. After all of this, I realized that she lacked motivation to go on a D&D adventure and realized that she could go on a quest to investigate an attack on her god by a rogue cult. And during her investigation, she comes across our second character in an abandoned forest village, a Fae, who's a fighter? That's right, our second character is a Fae with the class of fighter and a background as a sage. So, first things first, what type of Fae are they? It took me a comical amount of time to decide what type of Fae I wanted this little fella to be. Did I want this Fae to be a quickling? A verdant prince, mayhaps? Maybe a hibsil? A satyr? Crow firmly advocated for me to make them the most scrunkly little guy known to humanity, which I took into consideration. For the sake of my sanity, however, I decided on a pixie Fae. Apparently, if you want your character to be a pixie, you gotta homebrew it. But according to Forgotten Realms fandom wiki, pixies are mischievous sprites that enjoy playing pranks on others, and have silvery moth-like wings, and prefer to wear brightly colored clothing. My first attempt at drawing them ended up being more moth-themed, but I wasn't really satisfied with it, so I threw out the design and changed directions. I decided to make them more spring or flower themed, and I asked my friend offhandedly, "Oh hey, give me a flower." And she was like, "Daffodil? I think that's a flower." And I was like, "What do you mean you think that's a flower?" Anyways, I settled on a daffodil-themed fae, as daffodils represent rebirth and new beginnings while also representing narcissism. It's also said that presenting a single daffodil brings misfortune, but gifting someone a cluster does the opposite and brings happiness and good fortune instead. I made their dress, or body, in the shape of a daffodil, the petals being the skirt and using the corona, or trumpet, to act as a tube top. I kept the cute antennas from the previous design and worked from there. While researching, I kept seeing the typical cute anime fairy girl pop up, so I decided to make my fella a little bit more fae-like, but still adorable enough to get away with silly pranks. After Crow walked me through making Anjali's backstory, I had a pretty good grasp on how I wanted my second character's story to go. Thankfully, it wasn't as complicated as before. I decided to name my little fae fighter Tiana Lawrence III, but after realizing that was a mouthful, I changed their name to Prudence, meaning cautiousness, though I'm sure they would have preferred the former name more. Prudence is the 43 centimeter or 1 feet 5 inches tall bundle of pure unfiltered chaos. She is the only child of 2 loving and supportive pixie parents. Yet despite how well loved she was by her parents, she was also bullied and isolated by her peers at a young age, leading to her thirst for knowledge. Prudence even begged their mother to help them train, which led Prudence to become the strong-willed fighter that she is today. The reason for her training and undying thirst for knowledge? To take over the world, of course! If no one in their silly pixie village is willing to become her friend, then she will make them regret it after she conquers the realm. And soon, the world! Then those fools will regret making an enemy out of her. Her parents, understandably, not really understanding their child's grand plans or delusions, support her nonetheless and are doing everything they can to prepare her for her future. When Anjali meets Prudence, she is mysteriously the only remaining pixie in the forest village. Prudence, growing bored of her solitude, decides to hitch a ride with Anjali on her quest. Prudence figures it's for the best, as she can look for her missing pixie parents while she's at it. After all of my hard work, here are the final drawings. I don't know when or if I will be using these characters in a D&D campaign, but I have them prepared now just in case someone decides to break down my door and drag me into one. You know, just in case. Before this video ends, I would like to give a quick thank you to my bestie Crow for letting me crunch on her dice like a fool and helping me brainstorm for these characters. She was a huge help during this whole process, and I'm glad she was there to talk to me when bouncing off ideas. As you know, this is the outro for the video, so if you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, you know the routine. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! No, that's not D12. I'll never figure it out at this rate.
I actually never remember what D12 is. I think you're holding it.
I'm holding the D12. They're so pretty. They're like candy, and I hate it because it's so pretty.
Trying to stop herself from eating it in front of me. I'm gonna turn around. It's gonna be gone. I'm gonna hear crunching noises like eating concrete.
Crow is gonna turn around and she's gonna hear crunch, crunch, crunch. Oh my god. Alright.